Night wherever you are today. What is important though is that you are here in Speed Gaming 4 with us for a Super Mario Brothers 3 randomizer tournament from the group stages. We are visiting Group A as an all right. It's time for an SMB3 randomizer race. I am here with Frankenroc, who is taking on Dom. And of course, on commentary, that is me, Growlwolf. And it is a pleasure to be here with you today. We're looking for an outstanding race between these two runners who are both desperate for their first win. Dom with the chance to still take a possible second place here. And I apologize. I got these two confused, actually. Dom does have 2 wins already. One against, I apologize, 2 against Ricky of Kokiri. That was a race that we had last week or the week before. And Frankenroc still looking for his first win. So currently, Dom RTA is 2-2, whereas Frankenroc is 0-2. And Frankenroc actually is playing for a spot in brackets, potentially. So this race has a lot of playoff connotation to it. And as we get started, we'll kind of talk about that here more as well, because the playoffs really in this case is the bracket stages. So once we get through the group stages and they're able to do tourney group 2, they're going to be able to pick their flag sets and everything. But as soon as the group stages is done in the end of May, which we're getting very close to, we're going to shake things up and we're going to put everybody into a bracket based on their average times as well as the win-loss records. So at this point, Dom looking pretty decent with a 2-2 so far. A couple wins here would definitely seal it, as these are his last 2. But if Frankenroc is able to take both, then that is going to spell a little bit of a problem for Dom, and he is going to be hoping that Ricky of Kokiri is able to take out Frankenroc to give him the second place spot. But of course, we'll have to come back to that here in a little bit. But I apologize. 0-2 for Dom here would mean he is out. So even if he gets a 1-1, it's going to come down to Ricky of Kokiri, which may not be enough, because if they go 3-1, then I think we have to go down to the time. But regardless, we'll come back to that later because it will be important later. For now, what is important is that these guys are in 8F1, and Dom already threw because Frankenroc opting to go ahead and go for an item, which I can't say I blame him for at all. And that will be the first of the 3 fortresses that could potentially be required. And at this point, Dom's still playing the guessing game of which one. And we will see if the next one is the required or if they will have to play all 3 because of the route exclusive. We will come back to that though here in a moment, as we have Dom currently racing through the Angry Sun level, which is looking very vanilla with that Angry Sun up in the sky. Yeah, you almost love to see it. It's a fun level, very iconic. Not something that was very used to at the time, just with the Angry Sun being a persistent enemy on the screen. Meanwhile, Frankenroc having a little bit of difficulty getting through this World 8 Fortress, decided to go a route that we usually don't see, and is now fighting with a Rotodisc and a hot foot before eventually being taken down. And the look from Dom on the right-hand side of the screen does mean that it is going to be at least 2 more, or at least 1 more fortress, which he will go to World 1 Fortress, and that is not going to be it. Therefore, he is going to have to go back and play the other fortress that is in the top right there. So we will come back to that here in one moment, because it looks like he is going to go after where the Angry Sun level usually would be. And instead, he is greeted with a World 7 level. So not a terrible level to play with, but is definitely a scary spot if you're a small Mario. But with that, he will not get the P-Speed right away. He's going to try again. Meanwhile, Frankenroc looking for just a little bit of help here with an extra item. And he will go the same way he came in. And we'll be going through the little castle doorway there. Dom now able to build his music box bridge. So he is going to go back and see if he can find something. He overshot. I think he actually grabbed the wrong pipe. So he's going to have to backtrack just a moment. But he will get there no problem at all. Have to be careful of that Paratroopa, and right when you're looking at the Paratroopa, here comes the Paragoomba. So a little bit of winged menaces up there, and Dom now debating, wait, do I want to play that again, or do I want to play World 1's Fortress? It does look like he's going to go back and play World 1's Fortress, which is definitely the easier of the 2, and especially if you're able to get a wing out of this, that would mean a free item. So World 1 Fortress is one of our most unique fortresses in that it can be beat in two ways, and not just the one that everybody knows. Dom utilizing the tail there, as we just talked about a moment ago, and that will mean that he does get a Starman as an item, and that will go straight to his inventory and will not be something that he has in the level, but he does decide to use it right away. I can't say I fault him, as he is granted or is given an arena with 2 Boomerang brothers and the water, which could be very dangerous as a small Mario. For big Mario, no big deal at all. He's able to trudge through that, no problem. And with that, we are now into 7-2. But as we were talking about a moment ago, there are 2 ways to defeat the World 1 Fortress. One was the one we just saw where Dom did fly up and over and was able to get a hidden item, which in the vanilla game would typically be a whistle, I should say. It was a whistle. But we do not allow our runners to warp. They do not get warp whistles. They cannot do a wrong warp, or that will be an immediate forfeit of the race. And that's because we want an any percent speed run, basically. We want our guys to go through all 7 of the world and then find Bowser at the very end, take down Bowser, save the princess, be the hero of the day, and that's how we are going to play these games today. So you will visit all 7 worlds, and we do like to play a game of a little bit of a mini game to see who has the best guess for the next world, as these are randomized. So right now we are starting in World 2 from the vanilla game, and that is finally the answer Dom was looking for. He is going to go back around, and he is going to go through and only play 1 level, which is typically where the pyramid is, and then of course he will take on the Hammer Brother right afterwards. Meanwhile, Frankenroc trying to figure out what Dom already knows, and that's, hey, where am I going? So 7-8 for Dom on the right-hand side here. Not a terribly easy level to get started with, and a lot of fire piranhas here. Looks like damage boost will be enough to get Dom out for now, but a lot of fire piranhas here. There's 3 in those pipes there. You either love to see it or hate to see it. I think it depends on what side of the controller you're on. But for now, we will check back in with him in a moment. He looks to be going for the hidden item. Again, not a bad decision. And a hammer shoot on the side of Frankenroc. A very interesting decision, both to use it here and to even have it. It looks like that came from the Toadstool house, I do believe. And he's decided to use it. And with World 1 Fortress, because there are 2 ways to defeat it, the fortress itself cannot be critical. Therefore, as soon as the runners realize that that is in fact there, they can basically bypass it at that point and not have to deal with it again. So Dom not going after that Toadstool house will mean he does not have a hammer suit, but the fact that Frankenroc did decide to use it does mean that he does not have the hammer suit either right now, but there are still in fact 7 worlds to play. So as Dom finishes off this World 4 airship, we do like to play the mini game of which world is next. And I would like to go ahead and start the guessing, I believe, with World 4. Let's go ahead and start with evens only, and we'll see what we've got. So if you want to get your guesses in chat, you are more than welcome to play along. A bit of a beefy boy here with Morton. He is extra salty today, and 7F2 is being a huge pain for Frankenroc. With a little bit of Lionel Richie for you. So if you are a Lionel Richie, here you go. If not, then I highly recommend you try again. No, I'm just teasing. Either way, so a frog suit comes from the princess. That will be very valuable, I'm sure, as these runners try to take down Bowser. If that's the way that you like to play Bowser, I guess. Either way, we do have the question mark levels here. I should probably explain the randomizer seed that we're playing. Both runners do get the choice of picking exactly what they'd like. And very well done on the side of Kurt's new brand for guessing World 7. You are absolutely correct. We'll see if you can go 2 for 2 with this next one. So get your guess ready. We'll, of course, see in just a one moment if you are correct. Frankenroc having a little bit of a problem with the Angry Sun level, but is able to get through. A nice jump there. And one more at least. Oh, Paragoomba goes up too high, and so does Frankenroc, and that will mean Frankenroc has to try again. The game over is slightly problematic, but with 7F2, having more lives is rarely a bad thing in a randomizer. Anyway, we will come back to that here in just one moment. So the seeds that these two runners have picked first is the question mark seed, and that means that these runners have picked to not know what numbers are on the panels. Now, you may be thinking, Growl, why on earth does that matter? Well, I am very glad that you asked, because the question mark block or the question mark panels means that the runners won't know specifically how many fortresses are in the world until they find them. Now, that is incredibly important in some of the ones where you have multiple screen transitions, specifically like World 6, because there are a lot of places that your screen will move going across the screen. World 4, World 5, kind of the same way, World 6, 7. Basically, any of the worlds that do transition, you won't be able to see how many fortresses there are. Now, there is going to be one that has 3 fortresses, and that's because the vanilla game has 3 fortresses. But there are some that are going to have 1 or maybe 2. Every world will have at least 1, because every world in the vanilla game does have at least 1, but there are quite a few that do have 2, such as World 2. No, I'm sorry, World 2 only has 1 fortress, World 3 has 2, World 4 has 2, World 5 has 2, World 6 has 3, and World 7 has 2. So there are 4 worlds that will have 2, and there are, I believe, 3 worlds typically that have 1, and that, of course, includes World 8. So we will get a little bit of a mixed matchup here, and we will come back to that as well. Frankenroc having a little bit of an issue with those piranhas, and we'll take another death here. And hopefully can get through 7F2 here in just a little bit. It does have a star, decides he wants to go ahead and use it. I do not fault him at all for that. A little surprised he hasn't gone for the toadstool houses. They do refresh after a game over. And he does know that one of them does have a hammer suit. So not a terrible decision on his part at all. Meanwhile, Dom is now located a hammer, which is going to be a big deal, because in this set, not only do we have flags with the question mark blocks on the panels, we also allow our runners to break hammers or use hammers to break blocks and rocks. So that may come up here in a little bit, as our runners could possibly use that and get themselves propelled into the future with another really good item. So as we go into the fight with Ludwig von Koopa, the conductor of chaos, the maestro of mayhem, go ahead and get your guesses into the next world. I'm going to have to go with world. Let's go with World 5 this time. We'll kind of split the difference. We'll go 2 minus 7 is 5. And I do believe that's what we're going to go with. Kurt's new brand, going for a 2 for 2, has said World 3. We'll see if the Land of Windy can come up next. Frankenroc now successful through World 7F2. Congratulations. That's a very well done job for him. That is a very tricky level to get through, especially when you start having problems, and for it to be this early on. So hopefully he's able to get through the rest of this without any issue. But fortunately, 7F2 will not be necessary any longer, as he's already defeated it, and fortresses will not come back. So K-Black has now answered correctly. That is work 1. So congratulations. Now we will wait to see if you are able to get the next one right. Let's see if we can get some kind of a combo going here. Dom now in the Navy, where just about anything's possible. Mostly cannonballs flying at you with some bombs trying to walk at you. Frankenroc opting to not go off of the hidden item there. Does take a shot from the nipper at the bottom, and we'll have to play his 7-8 over as well. Decides to go ahead and stop and get an item. And hopefully does get that Hammer Brothers scoop again. 1 fortress in World 1 means that Dom will play 1 fortress and now move on. He does have the end card game. It's another thing that we allow our runners to have. And that is a memory matching game, which you can see there on the side of Dom. And everything that you match will give you an item, but It's not the item that you see. So not everything is as it appears, as our runners will be granting or getting random items for the matches that they make, as well as having a random order into what the memory card is actually in. Frankenroc with just a little bit more difficulty as he does game over and will have to play 7-8 again. Now, thankfully, those fortresses that he has played will not be required, but he will go after those toadstool husks again. I think that's a very wise decision. You know, get yourself a few more items in the inventory, help yourself out, give yourself a fighting chance, and get ready to play for the long haul. Meanwhile, Dom into one of the very favorite courses for a lot of people, and that is 1-5, for he did skip 5-9 with a cloud, which I don't fault him for at all. That is a very long level, can be incredibly grueling, and you just hope that the next one isn't too bad. It was not, and Dom is now just a Hammer Brother fight away from the World 1 airship. Such brother not wanting to play nicely, but that does not matter, as Dom finishes them off with finesse and grace. And just like that, Frankenroc is onto the World 1 airship as well, which was actually World 4, utilizing the Tanuki suit to try to avoid some of those flamethrowers. So far, so good for him. Dom going after a World 6 airship flip. Does not quite get it, which is actually very complicated with the tail. It changes the dynamic of how Mario moves, and the physics do change for him a little bit. So Dom was, you know, it was a tough flip, but either way, he was able to get through there very quickly. And now a few shots onto Larry with Earthquake. So I do believe his Earthquakes are going to be done after this, as I do believe Morton had it as well. So it looks like we've got a World 3 guest. I'm going to have to go with, let's go with World 5 again. I would like to stick with that. Eventually it will be right. And of course, we'll come back to that. Check and see when we get that. We've got a World 3, World 4, and World 5 guests. So hopefully we do get that here. We've seen 1, 2, and 7 so far on the side of Dom. And we will come here in just one moment to see what we've got. All right, it looks like we got an anchor, and congratulations to Kalak. We now have a new combo. We have World 1 was guessed last time. That was absolutely correct. World 4 this time, and that is also correct. And we do have 2 fortresses, so pick one, pick one. One of these is bound to be correct. We just don't know which. We will have a 50-50 game here. If you're wrong, no big deal, because you can just go right across and play the other one. There is not a whole lot of divergence here. You'll just play one extra level, so no real loss there. And at this point, Dom is very clearly in the lead because of a very devastating 7F2, followed by 7-8, which did give Frankenroc some reserve, but has gotten through those and is still moving on. So very well done on his part to keep it going and keep fighting for fighting for what he's doing here. So very nicely done on his part. And meanwhile, Dom has decided to go with World 6's fortress first. We will have to wait and see which one the other one is. And utilizing the jump strat there. Very common because they like the noise, I guess. I don't know. But as Dom does go through 6F1 here, he's going to go after a clip, see if he gets it. He does. So very nice clip on the side of Dom. Has a Boo that wants to follow him through the wall because that makes sense. Actually, I think that's the part of that makes more sense. But either way, Dom now into this fight with Boom Boom. 3 shots, of course, is all it takes. Frankenroc, meanwhile, having to figure out, hey, wait, I have a fortress? Okay, I'll go find it first. So now he is going to go back and figure out which fortress is the right one. Has a lot of pipes to choose from there. And Dom with the correct guess of 6F1. And will not have to worry about that again. 2 stars is the match. 20 coin and 1 up comes up. And a flower. Has he seen a flower? He has not. And a mushroom will be the next item. And he will end the level. A anchor is in fact a hammer suit. So very interesting to know. That will come up to play for sure. I am certain later. Especially when Bowser comes up. That is a personal favorite of a lot of runners. And Hammer Brothers suit is the quickest way to get through Bowser, followed by Hammer, and then followed by everything else, because there's nothing else that damages Bowser, and you do in fact have to go through and wait for him to go and fall on the floor. Dom taking a star to a couple of Slug Brothers, and he's given a Jukum Cloud for his efforts. A very nice decision on his part to go ahead and play the Hammer Brother, as that is going to mean an entire level gets skipped now with that cloud. As we enter into the World 1 airship. As we enter the World 1 airship, go ahead and get your guesses into chat. We'll see if Karlak can keep it going with a 3 combo, or if we get a combo breaker here. I am going to go ahead and say World 5 as well, because, hey, it's bound to be right one of these times. All right, the guess is in for World 3. I think Kurt's new brand is going to be excited about that as well. And yes, Growlwolf is in the lead. I am very much ahead. I'm already looking at Bowser with my sights. Going after the princess shortly after. And a hammer on the side of Frankenroc does mean he does have a tie for the hammers as well. And that is going to be a big deal with this seed, because the in-card game does give you items, but I don't believe it gives you hammers. So, and the hammers are a commodity, because if you can break a lock, then that means you could possibly get to a world very quickly. And congratulations to Kalak, definitely on fire. 3 guesses so far. All 3 have been correct. Very nicely done. We'll have to see if Kalak is able to finish it off here, or just get tripped up on the last 2, which I believe are World 5 and World 6. So Kalak, go ahead and get your guess in at some point. Dwell on it a little bit. I'm going to guess World 5 again, so if you want to be contradictory and go against me, I can't say I blame you. I am never right in these worlds. But it is a 50-50 now, so, you know, best of luck there. No pressure. We got a few minutes until Wendy comes up. Frankenroc finishing off his world, World 7. Very nicely done there. And, ooh, very interesting. We have a pipe and a fortress, and we have a fortress on the left. I'm currently trying to make sense of this because... Okay. We have a guess from Cryptonym in here that it should be World 5 next. I'm wondering if there's any rationale behind that, or if it's just a very serious guess. Either way, we will find out, of course, momentarily. Meanwhile, Dom is working on his fortress. Which is, of course, World 4's first fortress. And that will, in fact, build the bridge, which I find very interesting, because Dom should know where all the pipes go now, and that pipe is required, which means if there's anything in front of Wendy, it will be linked to that fortress right next to the last pipe. Okay, Cryptonym's track record is that that Cryptonym has never been wrong. So, Kalak, it is your decision. Do you choose to go with World 5, who has been picked by Growlwolf, who's never been right, and Cryptonym, who has never been wrong? We'll see who wins out here. This is going to be very interesting. Meanwhile, Dom is going into the 5-3 beta stage. It's not exactly 5-3, but does have a very similar feel. And you start off by going right, you go in a pipe, then you go left, and then, all right. Well, I'll take it back. 5-3 is a lot longer, actually. But regardless, with the swimming and the very scary sea creatures, he is going to hopefully, there we go, bypass that bloober, and we'll be able to finish off this level without any issue at all. Kalak has chosen to pick World 6, so very interesting indeed. And of course, here in just a couple levels, we will figure this out. It looks like Dom has chosen to do a save with the pipe, and if Wendy is required, okay, the lock is going to go ahead and be broken. Dom said, you know what, I'm not even interested in keeping my hammer. I'm just going to go ahead and play it. Goes to the World 5 airship and starts with a P-Wing. I think that's a good decision. I'll keep him up in the air, and we'll hopefully keep him out of harm's way as Wendy starts doing her thing. And then, of course, we'll also possibly go for an off-screen wand grab. Actually, that will not happen now, but 3 shots means a regular double cheese combo from Wendy's, and that is all she wrote. So now the guesses are in, well, at least a couple of them. If anybody else wants to guess, you got a 50-50 shot. World 5, you can agree with Growlwolf and Cryptonym, or you're welcome to go on the side of Kalak, who is yet to be wrong and has currently guessed 3 in a row. And we will have to wait and see who gets it. Chibi Cage with 5 decides to join Team Crypto Wolf. Growl Nim. I don't know. I like Crypto Wolf pretty well. And it is World 5! Oh, Kalak. All right, well, I was finally on a winning scene, but that does mean the end of the combo for Kalak. So don't worry, though. We do have another race coming up here in just one moment. As these two runners do head towards Bowser's Castle. We will be getting started with that as quickly as we can after this race. So we do have a chance for some of us to get our first ones right for the seed and for some of us to continue with a combo. So very well done on all fronts. And it does sound like the luck for Cryptonym outweighs the bad luck for Growlwolf. Either way, Cryptonym starting the combo with 2 worlds to go, and we know that World 8 is left. So well played. Very nicely done. Either way, Dom currently having a debate of, okay, what do I decide to do here? Decides to go after a in-card game. I think this is a very wise decision. You know, you don't have a whole lot of time left. World 8 will not produce an in-card game, so you do have to get your items in before that. And it looks like we do have a couple of fortresses here. I think that's rather interesting. And I don't believe it can be 3 fortresses. So as soon as he gets through this one, he'll have a few levels that he does have to play. And he will have to go really just a long way around to find World 5's airship. But we will come back to that here in just one moment. Frankenroc, meanwhile, trying to go through 3-6 and keep himself safe because this enemy set is anything but. And has a beautiful double shot there on a flame chomp and a flame tail, but that is no big deal at all as a paratrooper does take him down a notch, but that's no big deal. He is out and through to the level, so very nicely done on Frankenroc's side. Meanwhile, Dom looking at a bridge being built and will either go the direction of a level and then fort or level and then Boomerang Brother. And honestly, with the sight of his inventory, I highly recommend going the way of the Boomerang Brother, but of course we will have to wait and see what Dom actually does decide to do. Either way, I do believe the Boomerang Brother would be a lot quicker. So from a strategy perspective, I think that it would be it. A shot on Lakitu means that he is out of the sky for a little while, but his brother will return to avenge him, and we will wait and see if he does get his vengeance. It looks like that's just not going to be a factor here. Too slow to the punch, and that's going to be the end of it. A star for Frankenroc is going to run out before, well, actually right before he gets another one. So he is going to be going for a Brorb, as it was designated last night, and I think it's funny, so I'm going to start saying it. That's the technical term, B-R-O-R-B, the palindrome, and that's pronounced Brorb, the art of a, or the act of a star-imbued Mario taking out a Boom Boom for an instant, basically evaporation at that point, I think is the only way that we could really describe it truthfully there. Because actually in the code, the way that it works is that there's like 27 in a bit value for basically Boom Boom's health. So based on the amount of damage that Mario does with each jump is actually enough to alter that amount. But for Mario, he does do enough damage that when he jumps on him, you know, it takes him down, it takes him down, it takes him down. And I do believe like the last value is like 5 or something like that. So it's like 22 damage or blah, blah, blah. And with a star, it's actually considered an instant death. So if you are able to pull that off, the game doesn't realize that it's even a lost fight. And that's actually why instead of Boom Boom flickering, it just instantly disappears in the void, almost into the middle of the column or the middle of the field, because the game just doesn't know how to react. So it's like, here's your orb, go on. So anyway, if you didn't know that today, you do now. And I thought that was an interesting fact, so I get to share that with you, which is always a good time. Now, Dom is moving on to the last and final world, my personal favorite, and that is the snowy land of World 6. Kalak with a guess of World 6. If anybody else wants to get a guess in, you are more than welcome to. And a little joke from the princess's letter. does give a P-Wing. And with that, we are into World 6. So congratulations, Cat. Great nicely done. And anyway, so we are now into World 6, where there is one lock. And Dom thinking maybe I should have saved that hammer, because that definitely could have been helpful. It also appears that he may be looking at these two Hammer brothers thinking, hey, I wonder if one of you guys has a hammer. The king is back on the guesser. You are absolutely correct, and I bet you cannot guess which one's next. We'll give you a few minutes to think about it, and then we'll come right back and get that here, as Lemmy does have a fight coming up. Dom's just trying to figure out how on earth am I going to get to these two fortresses. So a very clear indicator of where a hammer should be saved and used here, because this is going to be a pretty long World 6 without that hammer being able to break that lock. So Dom will have to go through 8-1 here. Decides to go ahead and try to use a P-speed strat. Unfortunately, just a little bit too much debris in the way, and he will have to play just a little bit careful, but no problem at all. Frankenroc having just a slight problem on the pyramid level. That will mean that he does need to play again here in just a moment. Unless he decides to cloud it, which he does not too. And does not actually take an inventory item either. Dom deciding to play 1-6. Will take a tail for a little bit of added protection on the road, and will likely also go for a P-speed strat here. He'll just fly over the goalie. No such luck, as he's unable to get through and enough speed. So we'll see if he takes a lift here in just one moment. Okay, it looks like we do have a P-speed for Dom. We'll see if that's enough. He does get 250 frames. It will not be. So he is going to have to replay World 1-6. Not a problem though, as it's not a terribly tough level, but he will most likely also grab another item. Okay, he will. That is a P-speed. A P-wing, I should say. Meanwhile, Frankenroc going after a mushroom, and unfortunately is just unable to get to the Buzzy Beetle there. A fireball does prevent Frankenroc from taking the jump that he wanted originally, but that's quite alright, as he is now able to get through without a problem. I am unsure of that, Cryptonym. I don't know if he's on a keyboard or a controller. I would have to ask, but we could certainly do that in the interviews. Frankenroc took a little bit of an issue with these Buzzy Beetles, but that will mean that he does get through after that one, and will be on to his next level, which actually will be some pipes first, and we'll try to figure out where Windy is. Meanwhile, Dom just floating his way into 4-1, or I should say out of 4-1, and does take a turn back, so he gets a mushroom, and now finally onto the fight with the fortresses. We'll see which one is the one that actually takes him to where he wants to be. A fight with the Boomerang brother is over. A 1-up is given to him for his efforts. And Frankenroc just having a little bit of an issue with 4F1 here. Not a very easy level to get through. Looks like he does decide to go ahead and play the lost level stage first before he decides to move on. Meanwhile, Dom now into his fight with World 6F3, also known as the Carpet Fort, and will be doing his best to get the P-speed strat down. Just about there. Looks like he will be able to finish that off. Now we'll go to the left side, because that's really the only safe place to stand. And 3 Hotfoots that look like they're drunk and want to do whatever they want to do, which is take Mario down. So a bit of an oof from Dom there, but we'll go back in and play 6F3 all over again. Frankenroc now onto his fight with the lost level again. A mushroom is the reward for Dom going through that blanket ghost. And we'll also go for the P-speed strat again. And definitely a place where you'd like to have an item for just a little bit more protection. These Hotfoots are just so complicated, because they don't like to play by the rules. They don't want to listen to anybody. And those are going to be a problem for him, I think. Yeah, definitely looks like he's taking a little bit too much damage, especially getting into the fight, or into the elevator. probably a good idea to play this part safe, just so he's able to keep a mushroom, which he does do, and will be able to utilize a damage boost here if he absolutely needs it. So far, not a problem. Is able to space those out just long enough for him to get to where he needs to go. Frankenroc just took this level on with a missed time jump, has a star, does not go for the next star, interestingly enough. It's usually in the bottom left square, and will just be using caution to not take any further damage here. We'll go after an item that is a mushroom. He is unable to get it because of the lack of 2 spikes, and will play a little bit cautiously to try to get through here, and looks like he has done so, narrowly avoiding a Koopa, Paragoomba, and Lakitu Spiky Shell, but that is no problem at all. Meanwhile, Dom is using a beautiful Peace Beach strat through 5F2, and that is absolutely beautiful. So very nicely done on his side. Just an absolutely stellar job through 5F2. It looks great, it feels great, I'm sure, and that is the end of Boom Boom for him. Meanwhile, Frankenroc now back into his fight with this World 4 Fortress, the first one you would come to in World 4. And having also a problem with a hot foot. These guys have definitely not been nice today. And it looks like Atlantis, however, not required, as there is a box and he should be able to go to where 6-9 usually is. And Dom looking at the inventory, not seeing anything that he could possibly use here, and is met with 2 1s. So Atlantis will not be replayed, but it was found, and isn't that half the battle? Meanwhile, Frankenroc deciding, you know what, I'm done with these swamps. I'm going to take them out with some hammers, and will do so. So hopefully no items or no issues with any of the monsters here, not taking any trouble or any chances at all, as he does take down every single enemy in his way. And then if he times this right, will be a beautiful sight on Boom Boom. It is gorgeous. So very nicely done. And that will be the end of the fight with Frankenroc. Meanwhile, Dom now onto the fight with Flinny. And as we get into this last one, there's one more world to guess if you are so inclined. And if you would like to go ahead and guess that, you are welcome to do so now. Frankenroc opting to use a hammer just the same way that Dom did. Again, I think that's such a risky and kind of a bad move there, because there was only one fortress. You knew where it was. Might as well go ahead and play it. You know, you might as well play it, because there's just not much left. And especially knowing what this World 6 looks like. You know, you haven't seen World 6 yet. There's a lot that could possibly go wrong with it. And could have been a lot quicker. So a very nice shot on Windy from Frankenroc. It definitely looked like there was a chance at some damage there, but he was able to get through it. So very nicely done, as he does move into World 5 here in just moments. And Dom will be coming up to the next world here in just a jiffy. Looks like we've got a guess at World 9 as well as World 2. I'm going to have to go with World 8. I feel like that's, coming up. And that's one that we do want to see. And at some point, we do need to get through this race and on to the next one. So, Dom, now the first one in. We do like to play a game here as well. And it's Bridges to Bowser. So get your guesses in as to how many bridges you believe there could possibly be. If you want the full technical possibility, there is -1 to -8, or to positive that. Let's try that again. -1 all the way up to possibility of 4 bridges, based on how many fortresses there are. -1, of course, being on the left-hand side of a pipe and therefore not required. And of course, anything above that is how many bridges would in fact be required. So I'm going to go ahead with 2. We got a guess for Kalak. We got a guess from Kryptonym of 1 and 0 respectively. Kryptonym feeling just a little bit gracious. Chibi Cage with a